You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to and perhaps watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. In this day of lockdowns, shutdowns, government overreaching restrictions on you able to make a living, able to run your business, you need to hear from this person now more than ever, which just happens to be the Financial Survival Network's tagline, now more than ever, because just because you can't figure out how to turn around your business doesn't mean that it can't be turned around. And often that requires out-of-the-box thinking, uncritical techniques, using your mind to really jump the gap and find solutions. Your brain, believe it or not, is a problem-solving machine, if only you will use it properly and listen to the results that it will give you. And our good friend, Dr. John Paul Mendocha, that's Docha as in dough, is with us now. It's great to have you back, John. And hey, failing businesses. A lot of these businesses were successful and became overnight failures, but a lot of them were barely making ends meet, John. And then the pandemic came and then they were gone. So if you managed to survive this long, almost a year, then you probably had some good survival skills, and it shouldn't be that hard for you to turn around your business, should it?
Well, you would think so, Kerry. Thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it. You would think that people would have figured that out by now, but lots of times people get to that bunker or survival mentality, don't think about what they need to grow. And what I say to everyone today is that it's great that you have survived to now, but now will you figure out a way to thrive in this upcoming economy? Most people say, well, I'm waiting for whatever, it's going to open up, the vaccine, whatever that's going to be. My suggestion is stop waiting. Okay, that the government lulled a lot of people into a hammock. Get out of the hammock, get off of your ass, and get out there and start doing some things. And there's some concrete things you can do, which hopefully we can get into some of those as we go through our discussion today, Kerry.
All right. So you shouldn't wait for Uncle Sam to go do something. Hey, in some states, the governors just sent people off to die. That was their way of dealing with this thing. Won't get into political discussions here because this is a family show. But so stop waiting for the government and stop waiting for magic for the economy to turn around and start being proactive. Now, it's very understandable, though, don't you agree, that for a lot of you out there, you really had no choice but to react and do everything you could just to survive, because your business just disappeared overnight or dramatically changed. But now we've had a year of this, and you have to kind of assume that some degree of this is the new normal. So you got to start making plans.
You're absolutely right. And I have I think a good story which matches up with probably a lot of your listeners. Two guys who fix my cars. They fix Hondas and Acuras. And, the pandemic hits and they get basically shut down and all of that. And then they find out they're essential workers so they can reopen. And I actually drove by one day and saw that they were open. And I said, hey, guys, could you work on my wife's van? And they said, of course we can. In fact, get you right in today. And I said, well, I didn't even know you guys were open. Oh, yeah, well, we're open. And I said, well, so how do you tell people you're open? And they said, well, for 17 years, this is what they did. Now, Kerry, when I tell you this secret, I don't want you racing off and doing it, okay?
Keep this quiet. Don't tell anybody here.
Yeah, it's just between us. So 17 years, they would show up about 7 a.m. One of the two partners, put the big cup of coffee on the counter, open up the big rolling steel doors, and by 7:30, people would start showing up. and getting their cars fixed. And by word of mouth, they started filling up and booking up. And I mean, I recommend them to people who work for me. I tell people about them. Now, what they didn't have, because I said to them, well, fellas, you know what I do? And they knew what I was doing. And I said, well, show me your database of all your customers. And they're running their business on a DOS-based, you heard that right, DOS.
Yeah, I heard that. Well, they're right at the times, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, and you know why they didn't upgrade the software is that, see, they have a Windows 98 machine running DOS. And they said, listen, those software guys are just crooks. They want us to pay $250 a month to have this updated thing. And I said, so you actually don't have a database? And I said, well, we can print out labels because we're remanufacturing old HP printers. The point of it is they had no database and no way to tell their customers what was going on. And they had no way to do it. And what they did was they spent money out of their pocket that they did not have to pay some shyster, some huckster, some crook to try to get the money from the government, which they got a little bit of money to survive. And I said, get on the damn phone, guys, and tell everybody, hey, we're Paul and Glenn. We're open. You need your car fixed. We're ready. We can help you out. And but they had no idea. And you're right, they survived it, but they had no idea. And even to this day, they have not decided that they're going to build a unified database. And they said, well, that's like too high tech. And I said, print it out, put it on, go out and get a Rolodex if you can find one on eBay. But for heaven's sakes, find a way to get in touch with your customers.
All right. So for those of you who don't go back as far as John and I, a Rolodex is a full box, effectively, or a roller. Originally, they were on rolls, and they were metal around them, and you pushed the thing above, and you had these cards that hooked onto the ring, and that was your Rolodex. Now, of course, we don't have Rolodexes, but these guys sound right up with the times. Can you imagine, like, you have to find a Rolodex on eBay that's not got coffee stains, dust, dirt, filth on it? I mean, and that the thing still turns around because they had built-in obsolescence even then. They were a huge company, Rolodex, and they were they had one huge warehouse in the Meadowlands in New Jersey. When I used to drive into the city, I'd see it there. And now do they even exist anymore? Or, is it strictly a backup for, what are they now?
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Goldterra Resource Corp is a gold exploration company that has assembled a highly prospective district-scale land position on the doorstep of the city of Yellowknife in Canada's Northwest Territories. Goldterra is currently focused on expanding and delineating gold resources at the company's Yellowknife City Gold Project, with a goal of discovering over 5 million ounces. With ready access to infrastructure and multiple high-grade gold discoveries, Goldterra is on track to re-establishing Yellowknife as one of the premier gold mining districts in Canada. Goldterra trades as YGT in Toronto and YGTFF on the OTC. For more information, go to goldterracorp.com. That's goldterracorp.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
I have no idea, but the point of it is that if you aren't getting in touch with your customers and saying, I'm here, then you are missing a big, big point. And the thing is that if you're not busy, it's easy to sit there and spend most of your conversations where you call up and say, Kerry, God, this really sucks, doesn't it? And Kerry goes, yeah, this really sucks. And, this really super sucks. Yeah, this really sucks. And by the way, I'm on the internet and it all sucks out there too. Instead of taking that time and getting your act together and going out and talking to people. You may have to put in 2 or 4 times as much work for half the money, but the key factor is that you're out there trying to make money and you're trying to do it. Oh, there we go. We got a Rolodex right now.
They still need them, John. Now, this is a company, they were bought out 8 times. They're headquartered in Secaucus, New Jersey, right in the Meadowlands. And they do a bunch of other stuff, desk organizer stuff, but literally, man, you can buy their stuff all over the place, but who the heck wants it? Workspace organization. I mean, wow. Maybe they sell paper clips and Post-it notes too. I mean, I don't even know, John. But you get my point there. Company that didn't adapt. They didn't even have a disaster that came. It was just technology making their product obsolete. Here you've had government making you basically deliberately putting you out of business because it's for the greater good. We could debate the lockdowns, the restrictions and all that, but we really don't need to here. The fact is, it's a business reality. You need to react to it. You need to have a plan and need to talk to somebody like John to figure out how to get out of this mess that your government has put you into. For me, I've been planning for this mess for a decade already. This is the best thing that ever happened to my business, and I'm not happy to say that, but more clients, more sponsors, and more dollars than I've seen in a long time. And there was an inevitability that this was going to happen. I was not that big a genius that I could foresee a pandemic, but I could see that certain trends in society, government, et cetera, monetary trends, borrowing trends, debt trends, were going to lead us to where we are today. We might have gotten there a little faster than expected. Point being, John, that you shouldn't be surprised by anything that happens. You should be surprised by it perhaps initially, but then you have to take appropriate steps. And being in denial, which it sounds like, the car guys there have been in total denial since the get-go. Denial's a river in Egypt, right? Not a river in Egypt, but they're in denial. And how many people that you deal with just won't accept the facts? They see the world's changing around you. You have to do something, but they just don't want to admit it because they're scared.
Well, and here's a life lesson for everybody, is that you need to work very hard in this life. And I saw this. My mentor in high tech sadly, he became irrelevant in the marketplace and basically was out of a gig for the last few years of his life, which was very sad. I delivered his eulogy, heartfelt. But one of the things I said to him is, I've learned positives and negatives from you. And I made a commitment to myself, and hopefully all your listeners will, is no matter what takes place, is that you will never let yourself become irrelevant in the marketplace. Because if you become irrelevant, what happens is that nobody cares. You're irrelevant. Nobody wants to know what happened before. I can tell you all kinds of high-tech companies that I was around, people I consulted with, that right now, it would even be a bad trivia question because they're gone. History doesn't mean that they weren't at one time, the top of the heap and all of that. But the point of it is that you never want to become irrelevant. As far as planning for this, here's what you always have to separate out. Whatever is taking place in the world, politics, economy, all of those things, the world could care less about your opinion if your guys are in or out. What you need to do is know how to make money in any environment. So you have to separate in your own mind that I'm not going to sit around and say, because I know a lot of, again, I know people on both sides. And I had a bunch of people who, when the orange hair man one said, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. And when the last thing that happened, oh man, the whole world's going to come to an end. I like to find a way to make money no matter who is there, because my personal beliefs should not stop me from adapting to the market environment there is. If you want the world to change to your environment, I have a real simple thing. Again, one of these bonus things that you're just gonna get it here with me, with myself and Kerry, is I want you to go get a staff. And I'm not talking about like I have a staff. A staff is a hunk of wood, by the way. I want you to go stand on your front lawn, shake it to the sky, and scream at the top of your lungs that this isn't fair, this isn't right, and the universe should change. Now, it does a couple things. First off, it probably gets you some more steps on your Fitbit. And the other thing is that your neighbors will now stay clear of you because they're like, oh my God, he's out on the front lawn screaming at the sky again. But that's what people think is a way to address this, instead of saying fundamentally, how do I learn new skills? How do I get better at what I'm doing? How do I find markets and customers I didn't know before? How do I do those things instead of sitting around wallowing in this? I've got my own story. I mean, if you want to hear a bad story, March 17th, a year ago, I launched a book that took me 30 freaking years to write. Worst day I could have picked. I mean, I guess I could have picked a worse day, but worst day. I mean, everything shut down. Now, you know what I could have said? Oh, world is terrible. But what has happened is I've done going on almost 45 radio shows, about 15 podcasts, 3 television appearances, and we still are out there working at. And I'm lucky enough and work hard enough to have somebody like Kerry have me back on his podcast and his network. All of that doesn't happen because of me sitting around, standing on my front yard, shaking the staff at the sky, saying the world and the universe is unfair.
Yeah, I'll just harken me back to law school. I had a professor, and one day reading a case, and it was really an egregious outcome. And one of my classmates said, "That's not fair." And the professor, he was like a distinguished Kingsford looking guy, like from Paper Chase, Kingsley. And he took off his glasses, put them down, and said, "My dear, fair is a sissy word. Nothing in life is fair. So get that out of your head now and understand nothing is fair." It could be just as unfair when you're doing really well and you don't deserve to, because you feel like it's too easy for you to succeed, and now you're not worthy of it. Hey, it's not fair then either. It's just accept the current situation, accept that you might be at the 10-yard line, your own 10-yard line, and you got one more pass left, and you better take it. You just have to accept these things and move on. So your book, tell us about your book.
Well, we've got 2. One is most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Position to win. Whether you want to accept it or not, every single one of you is positioned in somebody's mind. And the mistake that people make when they start a business, and in fact, by the way, the pandemic has exposed the mispositioned businesses all over the place, because you could hang in with bad positioning, you could do okay with bad branding, but then when this thing happened, the easy money went away. So that book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's available in all e-forms, in fact, Apple Books and Kindle. And if you go and you check that out, by the way, you can go to positiontowinbook.com, and go get there. And if you want me to have a signed copy, you could do that. What I will give you from this is that every single time I have struggled in businesses that did not do well, I've done a lot of different businesses, I've turned around a lot of businesses, is that I go back to that core. How are we positioned in the marketplace to win today? Not under ideal situations, not under perfect conditions, but today. How are we positioned to win? If you think that way, this is why I say, and this is in the book, a little freebie for everybody, go improve your capabilities today. Go learn something today. You're listening to Kerry's excellent channel, and you're learning from it. Take some of those things, take those notes and say, how do I take that? And now how do I apply it to my business? How do I go watch and curate? I watch between 7 and 15 YouTube videos, but I curate them. I don't sit there and watch, cat videos. I don't watch political stuff. I watch stuff that are going to help me get better, because it all comes down to how much can you jam into your melon to make your capabilities better so you can position yourself as a winner.
All right. I couldn't have said it better myself, John. So just tell us the website, where we find you, how we order the book. I know you can find it wherever fine books used to be sold, but hey, let's find out your website so we can connect with you there.
Excellent. If you go to Position to Win Book, all one word, positiontowinbook.com, there's some freebies there. There's ways to connect with me. You'll see all the things that I do. And what I hope that every single one of you do is, hey, reach out. Make sure that you tell me that you heard me out with the one, the only Kerry Lutz. Make sure you tell me that.
You're too kind, John, but thanks for the plug. I appreciate it. And the book definitely going to be worth your while. You need to think in new ways, different ways, things you never dreamed possible before. The technology is there to help you do it no matter what. There's very few technological limitations on any business any longer, no matter what your size. Perhaps businesses that need a physical, geographical location, like the car guys, like the gas station, like restaurants, but even restaurants, been a technological revolution taking place. You don't believe me? Go in there and take a picture of the barcode on the table. And then at the end, you get a check and you just take a picture of that barcode and you pay for it without ever having to take out a credit card. Everything's changing really fast. You need to open your mind up to these changes. And John's book is a great place to start. Any questions? Love to hear from you. If you got a failing business not doing as well as you want it to, why don't you send us an email? Let us take a look, kl@kerrylutz.com, and go to our website, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for your free newsletter. John, always a pleasure. Good luck.
Thank you, Kerry. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.